Hey everyone, it's Dustin with TechMD. We're going to come at you today with Samsung A71 5G, which I don't see these at all, and no one ever calls me about them. She got it wet, as well as the touchscreen doesn't work. I've tried rebooting it by holding down these buttons. It restarts your phone, and see if we can get it up and running. No such luck. And so now, with that being said, we're going to have to start diving in and removing the components and possibly scrubbing it, possibly replacing the screen today. So if you do need screen replacement, it will say screen replacement in the title if I did do a screen replacement. If I didn't, then that just means this is a simple water damage cleaning job. And I'm going to finally show the world my technique on how to do it when you're on the go. It works really good and very comparable. I was trying to get it into the safe recovery mode so I could turn it off, but it doesn't seem to want to do that. So first things first is we're going to put it on the heater, and I'll show you guys what kind of heater that I use. So I use the BST 928, and I put it at 120 degrees Celsius for the temperature. You just set and then move it up to 120. And I leave it on for about 5 minutes. But since this is made out of plastic, I recommend about 3 to 4 minutes to loosen up that back because it's not glass. But typically most devices is 5. This will also help dry it out, and we're going to start working with cleaning it. If I see a lot of water or corrosion, I use my 99% alcohol. You want to use 99% because it is going to prevent you from corroding the board further with not so good alcohol. And water has minerals and whatnot, so that's why it corrodes your board. Also, I get like a toothbrush with the sonic in it, where it vibrates really fast back and forth. And this is very similar to also like the ultrasonic cleaner. So that's what I use for the actual water damage. These are pretty simple. You can just grab one from your house, replace the toothbrush head, and scrub your phone yourself by separating this. This can be done at home, but it is a little bit trickier. All right, so now that we got it warm enough, I'm going to use an iFlex tool to go ahead and separate this. Now, I like to use the iPlastix, but unfortunately I broke my last one, so we're using iFlex today. I'm just using a towel too, so I don't burn myself. It's not too warm yet, so we should be fine. The iPlastix tool, you'll ding up less of the plastic, so that's what I'd recommend. If you can grab it on the links in the description. So we're just gonna cut around here and see what's inside. I'm sure there's no cables attached to the back glass because it is there's no fingerprint reader, but you never know, they may sometimes put the LED to the back of it as well. What? Oh, that's a SEM ejector. Okay, as you guys can see, there's plenty of water in here, so we're definitely going to need to dry this out and then scrub and clean. So as you guys can see the water here, maybe you can't, I don't know, it's not really well showing up on the camera. Let's see if we can zoom in here. Yeah, so you can see the water there. Okay, so a lot of times if we just clean out the phone out of this water, we don't even need to replace the screen, and it'll save the customer or yourself money replacing the screen. But a lot of times if you don't have the screen ready and a battery ready to go, you might regret that. But if this is all you got some tools, and you want to just see if you can clean it out, then go ahead and start with that. The plastic, I don't recommend just leaving on the heater and drying out, so we're just going to manually dry it here. Then we're going to go ahead and pop this open and see how much water we got inside. Now this is lake water, so it's not as bad as pool or salt water, but if you did get it in salt water or pool, it's very corrosive. If you damaged your phone over a month, then you might not have as much success at recovering this. You might need to take it to a professional or send it in to a guy like me. Okay, so I'm gonna also use a blue mat here to keep track of my screws and where they go. And I'll show you that real quick on a separate video. Normally I have this blue mat on video, but I wanted to get a good, white shot for you guys as much as possible. But I like to organize the screws so that way I don't lose track, and they might be different sizes, so they go back in the proper holes. You may have noticed that my screwdriver is magnetized. This magnetizes it. You can get that also in the link in the description. It's just called a magnetizer. We're all the way up here in Ogden, which is technically the city's called Pleasant View, doing a repair at a customer's house. And she's just over here looking at it, all fascinated by us opening up the phone. Or I should say me opening up the phone. All right, so sometimes those screws don't like to pop out. It's not a problem. We just keep on going, just get it loose. All right. The screwdriver I'm using is a 00 grip tool. A lot of these screws nowadays have lock tape or some kind of glue on them, so you can easily strip them with inferior screwdrivers such as iFlex toolkit. I don't like that. I use the grip tools for all my drivers. Highly recommend it, and you can grab those at the link in the description at Injured Gadgets. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this out and just carefully pop this out. Don't touch the board, especially if it's on like it is for me. You can use a plastic tool as well if you have one, which I do. Since this one's fighting me a little bit and I want to go inside a little bit more, you can use like a plastic tool such as this. There we go. So we're gonna just go ahead and set that aside. And some of your screws are gonna fall out if you flip it upside down. Not a problem. Just wipe down your black piece if you have any water in here. Obviously, if you're just here for screen replacement, if that's what we have to do today, you don't need to follow the directions to wiping down stuff. Sometimes batteries go bad after being soaked too long in water as well, so be aware that you may have to replace your battery in the future. So we're gonna go ahead and disconnect the battery here, and then you can also use a plastic tool to disconnect cables as well. So we're just gonna go ahead and just go through the rounds and disconnect and disconnect. And so this here is blood red, so that means it's been wet. This has all been wet. And what we're doing is looking for obviously water and corrosion. Just because you wipe water off the board doesn't mean that the corrosion's gonna go away. You may fix it now, but then you may have some issues down the road. So it is always wise to clean your board with alcohol, especially if, some of these tags have been showing that it's been wet. So we're literally going to move everything out. Normally you don't have to with a screen repair. The screen repair is just removing this cable and moving this out of the way. Now don't forget to put that screw back in. Okay, I lied, the screen repair is not here, it's right here. So you would just have to disconnect this and this bottom piece and lift it up. You don't even have to remove those screws up there. And you plug in your screen right there. That's it. And obviously glue it on. But I don't know if we're gonna do that yet or not. I hope not, so that customer saves some money. And I'm sure she's hoping too, that we just get this phone fixed in general. Didn't you see you had some pictures on it? She has lots of pictures. So guys, learn your lesson and use Google Photos. It's free and you get to back up your data. And it does it regularly, automatically. Unless you're on vacation or not connected to Wi-Fi or something like that. It's a nice little peace of mind. She's writing down that as you see, that you should be writing this down too. Now, if you're like, hey Dustin, this is too advanced for me, I'd love to send it to you. Not a problem, you can. Just be mindful that we have a 90% recovery rate the first week, and it drops 10%, in my opinion, every week that you wait. And you know, if you get salt water, it's even worse. The likelihood goes lower and lower, and pool water is a little bit less, but for the most part, we can recover just about any phone. So what I'm doing here is analyzing and see if we got any of these components wet. From what I can tell, nothing has really got wet except for down here by the charge port and by the connection. So we're gonna look at this board and we're analyzing here and seeing if we got anything wet. If there's one single droplet, I highly recommend cleaning it. Now the problem with cleaning this board here is that these are soldered on, so you can't really clean under there. But I don't see any water, so this is the main board. This is the big concern that we'd have to be scared about. So we're not going to clean that. But in general, you would definitely want to remove the cameras, clean the board, test the board, see if you get it up and running, obviously with this as well. So this is our next procedure, because this is what looks like obviously wet, and maybe we even got some water underneath the screen, which we can't fix. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put it on the heater for 5 minutes, but maybe a little bit longer, because you wanna make sure it's completely dry. So you wanna get that hot to the touch and then leave it hot to the touch for a good minute or two. So we may leave it for, let's say, 7 minutes. So how about we ask another phone, set a timer for 7 minutes.
7 minutes counting down.
Okay, so it's counting down 7 minutes. We're gonna let that dry out. Now, we know we got this wet, so the next procedure here is we're going to get this cleaned out with some alcohol. So grab a clean microfiber rag, which that one is not. And let's move all of our screws and whatnot over here. If you lose some screws, it's usually not too big of a deal on this phone. Just don't lose all of them. Screws, they're tiny, they fly away sometimes, and you know, once again, it's not a huge deal. Now you can pour this, you can buy maybe smaller, but I had to buy a 4-pack. Then you can also buy gallons. You can use 91%, which you can find at Walgreens sometimes, but pandemic has made life difficult. Sometimes they're fake too, the alcohol. So, and also you can possibly get the alcohol from a pharmacy and ask them for a little bottle of it. I didn't know about this until a friend told me during the pandemic, or not a friend, a client told me about it. So yeah. So once again, we think just the bottom was not so good. So we're gonna go ahead and dip our brand new toothbrush into the alcohol. You do not want to be using this with toothpaste, guys. Okay, so make sure you have a new head on there. Just go to Costco and buy a 10-pack. You need heads anyways for your teeth. And if you don't have one of these, well, they're amazing for your teeth. So So we get that nice and soaked in there. I don't know why I'm so zoomed in here. Oops. All right. And then we're just going to hit the brush here, and you're going to scrub really good. I don't know what that light meant. Maybe it's running dead. I hope it's not dead yet. Well, maybe it's pressure. Oh, that's cool. This toothbrush has the right pressure. I just barely bought this new one because my old one died on me. Just move it around the... You probably should turn it off when you dip in the alcohol because it sprays everywhere. Oops. That's okay if these black pieces come off. That actually protects the foam or the connections. So we are grabbing some more alcohol and just scrubbing. So like I said, these little black things are gonna come off. Not a problem. Normally I'd say clean this connection up here, but we don't think the foam got wet that high. Pretty sure it just entered in through the bottom. Okay, and then you want to clean the charge port out here as well. So how's this similar, if you're a professional by the way, how's this similar to an ultrasonic cleaner? Well, ultrasonic cleaner vibrates the water really fast, and you use a solution that's similar to alcohol in my opinion. I just threw that on the heater by the way. And so basically it scrubs off all the corrosion off the board itself. And it's really good especially if you have corrosion under the CPU, which we can't get to unless you desolder it. So what we do is just a toothbrush method. It works, like I said, very high chance of working. If your phone is coated, you think, in corrosion everywhere, highly recommend getting a full ultrasonic cleaning through a professional. Or you can also put this in overnight and soak it with alcohol and let it just eat away the corrosion. And then take your toothbrush and then put it on your heater and warm it up and let that alcohol dry out completely, that's what we're doing right now here with the heater. Okay, so now that it's nice and warm, take off this unit here, and then we're not going to clean the fingerprint sensor reader, but we do want to clean this piece right here. So just grab a little bit more alcohol and then clean this piece here. Make sure you don't put any in the fingerprint reader. What's great about alcohol is it evaporates very fast. So now if the water got underneath and damaged these connectors, as you can see, they're typically covered, but I'm not sure if this one is or not. If they damage those connectors or any of these connectors under here, then you have to replace the screen. I'm pretty sure we're not going to have to replace the screen. That's my opinion. This is very light water damage, and we will find out here in about 2 minutes. So what we're going to do here is just plug in the board. We're going to plug nothing else in except for board and the charge port. Charge port should be dry by now because it's 99% alcohol. If you have 91 or less, make sure you have more. Okay, so I noticed something in the connection in here, so I want to clean it more. Little black spot. Scrub really hard if you see something in those gold connections. It's possibly because of the black pieces that were falling off around there. Those black pieces, you know, help keep water out, but it could be a short as well. This toothbrush does not like to turn off. Okay, we got the black piece. Put it on for another 30 seconds, let that dry for a second. This was also connected down below, so we can clean this real quick. This little connection here. Unlikely that it got wet because of those black pieces. Crazy toothbrush. Doesn't like to turn off on the first button press. Must have other modes or something. All right. So we did some cleaning on this connector here. This thing controls your antenna. It controls your screen. It controls your charge port. So make sure you grab your charger and see if it just turns on with the charger, especially if it was even turning on in the first place. And this phone is USB-C, not a problem. I got that right with me. Where is, get our smaller screw here. Screw this back on. Let's get back to our whiteboard here. Now this thing will overheat quite quickly, so when you do turn it on, so make sure we just test it real quick and then unplug that. So first things first is we're just seeing if the charge port works. It does. Next part is typically the board connects to the power button, so you just have to press down right here and then turn it on. Okay, then you let go, and we're gonna go ahead and test. And we got a working screen, yay. So if you do need to replace this screen, you'll have to warm it up just like I showed you for about 5 minutes. And you'll take a separation tool like an iFlex and separate it off and then glue it down with T7000. Which unfortunately will not be showing this on this video because her screen had no issues. So we know the charge port works. Do you care about the headphone jacks? Do we need to test the headphone jack? Okay, so you don't care about the headphone jack, but if you care, please test it. Okay guys, that's pretty much everything. Now we just have to put it together. If you already know how to do it, you don't need to watch the rest of this video. Please like and subscribe. If you want to watch me put it back together, then yeah, feel free to do that. Now, if you do have a defective screen, please go ahead and plug it in right here and test it. That's it, just hold it down, turn it on, test, okay? So, since we didn't have to use the screen, the customer saves, drum roll please, $100, because these things are pretty expensive. So, I'm sure she's happy to hear that, right?
Very, very.
I'm very happy too, because I get to keep my part. I don't have to order another one. Onward for the next customer, and you guys just learned how to do some water damage recovery for your phone, and you know how TechMD does it. All right, you know what? I totally rushed that a little bit. There's a couple things that we need to do first. So we got to put that camera in here, and your camera may stop working. Your fingerprint reader sensor may stop working. Not too much of an issue unless you want to pay for a screen replacement. Most people can live without it for the savings, but that sensor is very sensitive, and you may have to replace it if you got it wet down below. You may have to replace cameras if you got them wet anywhere else, so just be aware of that. Just put all my screws back in where they belong. Okay. You definitely wanted to turn this off because it can overheat quite quickly if you don't have this being pressed down against the brainwork, against the heatsink. So let's say you're missing half your screws. You would want to, because you're a terrible technician, I think you're just doing this at home, you definitely want to try to get the 4 corners at least. And then preferably this corner right here. This one as well. This one here. And that one, okay? And then you just focus on your middle screws, and that's really all you can do if you are missing some screws. Does happen. Like I said, not a big issue. All right, so if you're about 1 minute away from putting your back plastic back on, you can go ahead and stick it on the heater. That's going to loosen up that plastic. Now, if you manage to damage your your glue because you didn't remove it at enough heat, not a problem. You can use T7000, which looks just like that, and you can order it online. The link in the description. Totally unscripted, you know. Always making a nuisance of myself, dropping stuff. All right. Not bad. Your last one screw. I'm pretty sure I watched that thing go flying too. They like to do that. Or actually 2 right there. No, that's from an extra phone that we had for something else. I try to save those screws just in case we need them. Okay, and we put the SIM card in, make sure we have service. That's another thing we forgot to check right away, but you should be checking service, make sure it works. And we do. We got service. Wait, it was working. Let's see here, give me service. We got Wi-Fi. Says it's searching. Let's go ahead and reboot it. Oops. That's not how you reboot this phone. You do that. I'm rebooting it because I put the SIM card in after sealing it. Now, if it doesn't work, most likely she'll need to replace that charge port connector there, or the SIM card itself. Unlikely, because the SIM card was never really wet up that direction as far as I can tell. When that boots up, we're gonna go ahead and put the back on. You still have service activated on this phone?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I wasn't sure if you were using a different phone already. So I just put the back on real quick, and I'm just sealing it, pressing it down for about 30 seconds. But you already have your active SIM card in here, right? Okay. Yeah, we still got no service, so there might be a different issue with this phone altogether. We got Wi-Fi. I bet we can do Wi-Fi calling. Phone is not registered on the network. I didn't miss anything. All the antennas connected. So what you want to do here is basically you want to reopen up the phone and double check all your connections, and if they're all good, then the water damage unfortunately has killed the service. More things that you could do is possibly scrub the board, replace the entire housing, which I don't have the housing, I just have the screen itself. The housing was not available, but that also controls your 5G antennas, which I didn't see any 5G antennas in here, which was interesting to me because most of the time they're along the sides of the phone with connections for most of the other Samsung phones. So not sure why we're not getting service beyond that. Water damage can create all kinds of problems, but our main goal was to get data off this phone. Most important, she can take it to T-Mobile to see if we can get it reactivated or a new SIM chip or whatnot, but make sure your connections are good before finally giving up on the phone itself. You can replace that board down there. That would possibly help fix your issue. That could be the actual chip down below, which would be a special order for us. I don't even know if our supplier has it. You might have to look on eBay if our supplier doesn't. Remember, all the links in the description down below, guys. So, oh, we got service. No way. We got 3 bars? 4 bars? Interesting. 5 bars. Right, that's not the number I wanted to call. Why is it? Don't show that. Yeah, 5 bars of something. It's weird. Anyways, guys, this video could go on and on with service issues. I give you guys all the recommendations I can give you. If you like the video, please like it. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. And thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe.